So my display presentation today is about the Queen Victoria Postal Stationery. And I only took this up as a subject because I used to be confused. I used to always see the East India Company postage stamps and the postcards being used constantly. It just didn't make sense to me. Of all the mail that was coming out of India, there was no good literature that I could refer, at least in my capacity, with what I had, where I could see something to find out anything about a cover. So I decided to put this postal stationery because it made sense to me. Once I started putting them into these streams, it really made sense to me to learn how postal history developed in British India. It's such a big country, because when I tried to exhibit, it's very difficult to exhibit a certain post office or a certain postmark because the country is so big and there were already 400, 500 post offices established at that time. So when you're trying to get the earliest known date and the latest known date, things become very difficult. Whereas in Canada and the US, because there are less post offices, it's easier to manage. So this particular title screen that you're seeing shows two covers, and the one on the left you will see is a letter paper. In fact, this was quite an interesting concept where the paper could be folded into an envelope form. In fact, and as you will see, this cover is from Mahabaleshwar, and Mahabaleshwar is a city that is very close by to the city of Bombay. So the rate on this cover is a half-anna rate. So when these postal stationeries were introduced, they were introduced so that people who were illiterate or even I've put a statement that the most striking feature of the new organization was the reduction of postage rates when it started at this in 1877, especially when it came to handling large volume mail in a country with many regional languages, in a period when literacy and letter writing was still growing. And as you will see, the letter paper that I'm showing you on the left were only used by the British who were there in India at that time. So most of the letters that you will find will be in English, and it's a really nice watermark type of paper that was created. And Delarue were the paper makers, and they were the ones who gave the paper and brought them to India, I believe, through the British administration. The cover on the right-hand side is also a half-anna, but it formed over a period of time. So I will show you. I will take you through each of this postal stationery in the slides ahead. The one quote that I'm showing on the right-hand side is also something that I found in a book called Indian Postal History. And the quote there in the middle of the screen, you will see it says that a further line in the book that I've referred states that to report a fact is one thing, to make it possible for others to uncover and report facts has much more greater effect. And the book that I'm referring to was a small book from, whether you can see, is the Bombay GPO. These are small books that I found in the library when I was at the Vincent Green's library, and Garfield was good enough to help me find some books. And recently he also gave me a C Post Office reference guide. So that's so I'm trying to develop my exhibits based on the literature I find. So this is the General Post Office. As I said, most of my covers are from Bombay, and this is a picture of the General Post Office, from where many of the mail that got routed through the city would have passed through the foreign mail or this thing. The only reason I'm showing postcards on this particular slide is to show you the General Post Office, that this postcard shown here is from 1890, 1894. And you will see that although my exhibit is going to be Queen Victoria Postal Stationery, I'm showing you here the postcard that was by the East India Company that was still being used until 1890s and until the 1900s, just to give you a background. So this aspect of collecting used to confuse me very much. So I couldn't just understand that India, why there were no India postage markings on stamps. And it always used to refer to East India, even though Queen Victoria became queen, so it always just confused me. So now this postcard here, you will see, is also an interesting postcard. So I kept it there to show you that this postcard was sent post-restaurant, which means that this person would come to collect it from the post office itself. And the structure that you see, the Bombay GPO, was only built in 1904, between 1904 and 1913. But the Bombay GPO existed there for a very long time, not in that location, but close by in that place. And my dad had an office very close by to this GPO. So he used to have a business near this place. He used to have a typewriter sales and service business. So we used to go and mail our invoices around through this GPO. So it brings me good memories to see this building, how it has developed and it still exists today. So the East India postcard postage is postcard shows you the postcard came from Kunur in the south of India to Bombay. You'll find many of such postcards, and it's showing you what the postcard transcript is. It says, "I received a packet of sheets for stamps, and I'm much obliged for them. I shall be glad to know the cost of them. So hope you will let me know and include postage." So you will see that stamp collecting has been part right from the beginning, and you'll find some very interesting letters from that time. And as you will see, the Bombay postmarks on the postcards are from the Bombay GPO, and there's a Fort Bombay as well, Fort Bombay postmark on the same postcard. So you know that this postcard has gone through different offices close by. Now I often get a question about how I conduct my research. So I thought I'll put a slide here. I'll put a slide here to show you the things that I've tried to find information from, because this information wasn't available to me when I first started getting into exhibiting. So now over the years, I've found some really good sites where I go for my information. So I go to the Digital South Asia Library. That's one of my good resources. I've provided some links. Then the Encyclopedia of British Empire Postage Stamps, the Empire in Asia. These are some information. Then the P&O Indian Mail Service. So these are some. This is just a sub-page that I put to show you that Bombay. You will see on the map on the right-hand side, Bombay is shown towards the left. And then I've shown you an extended map on the left-hand side of the screen, showing you Bombay, how the mail would have traveled to international destination from Bombay to Aden, Brindisi, London. That's later, but for Marseille and Southampton were routes that were there previously. Now here is where we start with the Queen Victoria postal stationery. In fact, as I showed you on my first slide, the letter paper. This is how the letter paper looks when you open those sheets and you see it, and you will see most of this paper is so delicate that even the ink has torn through some portions of the letter. In fact, and you will see the letter on the left hand side is showing you a letter from 1857. That's when the letter sheets were issued by the British. I'm showing you when it was issued as a top here on the top left hand side, along with its description. And this is the half Hannah blue letter sheet. And this paid the postage for letters going anywhere in India at that point in time. So this paper, as I said, was created by the Delarue company. And the watermarks I found on these sheets are the two watermarks from R. Turner Kent and Turkey Mills. I tried the best to show the screenshots that are showing you on the bottom right. There is 1859 for the Turkey Mills 1859 watermark, and at the bottom is the R. Turner Kent that's showing you the watermark of this paper. So now the left hand letter is a Bengal type B11. Most of your people who collect British India will know that those are the Bengal postmarks. And B11 was Bankura post office. The mail was going from Bankura to New China Bazaar in Calcutta. And the cover on the right-hand side is also a letter sheet. And this letter went from Mahabaleshwar to Bombay, and has the Bombay Circle type duplex showing to cancel the cover. This is the same continuation of the letter sheets, but these are some different covers that have gone through the traveling post offices. So you will see that the traveling post office started having in during 1873, 1866 to 1873, you would see many traveling post offices. And here I'm showing you two examples of traveling post offices through which these early covers went through. And these traveling postmarks are very elaborate in their design. You will see on the left hand side, I'm showing you a cover which has gone from Ugalpur, and the CR that you see on the top right hand side on the traveling postmark, is the Calcutta Raj Mahal line, and it was on train coach number 2, and it was an October mailing in 1866. So it was just a one-day delivery, but those trains used to ply between these destinations, and was quite fascinating to see these dates when we are looking at these covers in 2023. So as you will see, the B58 numeral postmarks as well on the bottom cover also has a traveling post office mark, but the initials on that is JB, whereas the one on the top is CR, and CR was the Calcutta Rajmahal line, because that's a train line, and the other one was JB was Jabalpur Benares line. I don't know the exact details, any more details about those lines, so I try to find out as much as I can, but because there is not much material, I cannot do more research on these covers, but otherwise they're just beautiful to look at. And what you will see is these had the lion and palm tree embossing on their back flap as one of the designs as well. So this was the letter sheets. Now we will move on to the envelopes. So now the envelopes also started coming in alongside with the letter sheets, because things used to started changing. And what you will see in the letter sheets, from the letter sheets to the envelopes, is the envelopes that we are used to seeing now. So there are the two of them. Two designs were created. One on the left hand side, I'm showing you half Anna blue, and on the right side, I'm showing you 1 Anna. So people could just go into the post offices, and depending on what they wanted to say, mail this thing. There was no need for understanding what stamps to put and what all was required, but you would just go and pick up the envelope that you want and then mail your contents. One thing interesting about the cover I'm showing you on the left hand side is I believe that this cover has traveled to the post office twice, and you will see there are two postmarks on the cover on the top, and the cover on the top is showing you that it's got a Co-Canada M74 marking that is vertical, and it went to Bombay. Co-Canada is somewhere in it was one of the Dutch Indies locations or cities, and it went to Bombay. And from the second postmarking that you will see horizontally, there is the Bombay Southwest number 2 marking, and to another Bombay office, but the dispatch and receiving marks are on the back end side. So you will see all those multiple markings on the back end side, and you will see there are 5 dispatches, looks like, that used to happen during the day in those times. And there's no information that I could find about those dispatch markings, except for in that encyclopedia that I try to find out. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm happy showing these covers, because Bombay Southwest is one office, and on the bottom I'm showing you Boribandar, which is also Boribandar is another name for Bombay as well, but it has got an arrow marking. If you see the arrow marking in the middle, it has got the arrow, which is the receiving house. And I say it's the railway or the receiving house. That's what the encyclopedia says, that the arrow marking that's what it is. So these are the half Anna covers. And on the right hand, the 1 Anna covers also are the double weight letters. And this is coming from the Northwest province. And you, as the letter paper you've seen, these envelopes too have the Delario marking. I just put it in green just to highlight this marking, which is on the flap on the cover edge of the cover on the back. It shows you that these envelopes were printed in Great Britain and brought into India. Yeah, now this is your 1879 soldiers and sailors envelope, and this was the 9 pies. 9 pies red. 9 pies was a rate soldiers and sailors envelope. So these are 3 examples of the envelope that I'm showing you here. One went to Agra, one went to England, and one is I know some of the collectors here know about the Minto Fete in India. So the cover on the right is showing you a cover that is franked with a Red Cross cancellation that has got Minto Fete written around it. And that cover was going to Howrah. There also you will see that it's going to the manager of a Standard Philatelic Company in 1905. So it's quite an interesting cover. These covers were made by soldiers because there were a lot of British Army personnel in India at that time. So the top cover is going to Agra. As I said, the bottom is to England, and the one on the right hand side is to Howrah. Yeah, and if you want to read about the Minto Fete, you can read that link that I'm showing you on the right. I try to put as much information as I can if I find something interesting, so that others can learn from it as well. So it's on the top left, you will see that the soldiers and sailors envelope was marked with a label of EP3. That's what they call it. And then in 1895, this got surcharged with 1 anna. So the rates changed. So the same extra covers were surcharged and they were marked as EP8, and that's how they categorize these stationery. So 1 anna on a 9 pi stamp. That's what it's called. This is the overseas letter envelope. Now this is from 1881. It was started issuing in 1881, and this envelope too was the 4 anna 6 pies rate to overseas destination. I'm showing you a very interesting book that I found very recently about just around COVID time. It was at one of the dealers and the Indian Sea Post offices, which I never even knew that a book like this existed. And this has been such a good reference for me to understand my covers that I have in my collection. As you will see, the cover on the top left is the cover that went to England from Pimpelner. And Pimpelner is a place very close to the state that I come from. Bombay is in the state of Maharashtra. So you will see that this cover came from Pimpelner to Bombay, and you see the Bombay F marking there, the Bombay Foreign Mail, and you will see that this, if you look at the book that I'm showing you, the Indian Sea Post Offices, I'm showing you the bottom left-hand screen that shows you 24th of February 1894. The cover left on the steamer on the ship named Rome. It got a marking. It's got an A marking on it, and it's arrived at Suez on the 2nd of March 1894. So you will see that the top cover and the right cover, I could get the dates of those ships that it traveled on only through this book, because I didn't find any this type of reference anywhere else. And you will see the top left cover reached England and as you will see in the postmark, Cheltenham in 1890. So it used to take about a month to reach the covers. And the other cover on the right hand side is a surcharge cover of 2 annas and 6 pies on a 4 anna and 6 pies. So it's the same envelope that was surcharged and became 2 anna 6 pies on the cover. And this cover went to Jersey, Channel Island. Quite an interesting cover, but it gives you lots of information about these covers from that period. Yeah, this now here you go to the local envelopes. I've selected this selection of covers just because they are all half anna covers, but they were used for one purpose. That was for the local mail, single letter mail, And you will see the top left is a too late cover, so it missed the train. The middle cover showing you is a postage due 1 anna. I've just selected them because of the various type of markings. And on the bottom left, I'm showing you a postage due cover. I've worked out the postage due, but I've put in a note there to say that to verify the above interpretation of postage due, because Kenneth Nelson helped me with one of the postage due covers of mine when I was showing at the PSSC last month. So it was quite interesting to learn from him. So I was wondering whether I could refer this cover once again to him and see if I've calculated it correct, because it makes sense. Because the postage had really dropped down to 1 anna in 1899, but I don't know why in 1900 this was charged at the 2.5 anna rate, which was prevalent at that time. So I'm still trying to understand it, but for now, it works out that they have expected that the postage rate at this time to be 2.5 anna. So I will reach out to Ken and ask him about this calculation. But he is quite amazing at this postage due calculations. On the right hand, I'm showing you OHMS covers from that period. One is going to Calcutta, and one is going to. It was a forwarded letter, so it went from Aligarh to Kasganj, and the postmarks are showing on the right hand side. So the 1883 on the left hand side is the EP5, and the official envelope is the EO1. The EO1, that's the marking on them. Yeah, this cover is now also an overseas letter rate, but the letter rate has changed now. It has become 2 anna 6 pies. So these were the envelopes that were issued in orange for the overseas letter, and here I'm saying in the note on the middle right hand side that I still need to do research, because there are no Bombay markings on this cover to show me that it got routed through Bombay, and I believe that these covers have gone through Calcutta. But I cannot justify their route, and that's why I left it at that, so that I can find out from somebody or anybody knowledgeable than me about where these covers got routed from, because you will see that the cover in the middle is from Diamond Harbour, and Diamond Harbour is in the west of India, and it was closer to the Calcutta port to have gone from those boats. But you see it has reached its destination in England, from the Diamond Harbour, whereas the top left is the cover that went to Toronto, and it's in 1895, and the cover on the right hand side is a cover from 1901 that also came to Toronto to the same person at the same address. So it's quite interesting to see that these covers reach their destination here and have the Toronto receiving mark, but I cannot justify the route that it took, so I need to do some research. But this I didn't have any Bombay references to this 2 anna 6 pies rate for overseas covers, but so I included these covers which I had in my possession just to complete the Queen Victoria postal stationery usage for this demonstration here. Yeah, and you'll see that in 1899, on the right hand side, the EP7, the 2 anna 6 pies was surcharged 1 anna. It's surcharged 1 anna, so you see the 1 anna on the embossed stamp here. So the rate had changed to 1 anna, but I don't know why on the previous this postage due cover was charged as if it was a 2.5, because this is a 1901 cover. So I still need to find out the calculations on this, and it would be quite interesting to get somebody's opinion on that. Now the soldiers' letter rate became 1 anna for the mail to any foreign country. So here I'm showing you that one cover is going to Australia, to Melbourne in Australia, and the other one to Toronto. Just plain simple covers, but it is the 1 anna rate, and the registered envelope rate on the right hand side is the 2 annas blue. So this cover went to England, but it had to have some. You will see the India postage stamps have now come into usage, into use now. Now those are slowly being phased out. Those envelopes are slowly being phased out, and stamps are coming in. So now it started making sense to me that how the India postage stationery was in use first, and then the stamps came alongside. Then these are newspaper wrappers, and this one Hannah green, one half Hannah green. That's my mistake there. I'll have to correct that. Half Hannah green and one Hannah for foreign destination. This thing, and you will see on the back there's a company postmark of Blaschek and Company, and the letter is addressed to Miss M. Blaschek. That means this family had a business going on in India, and they were writing back to their own family. So the office must have been in the city of Bombay. So it's quite an interesting to note that these formed part of correspondence from those early times. Yeah, the C11 postmark that you see on the bottom left is really about the traveling postmark marks that had variations come into them. Set number 2 is basically the group that was sorting the mail, and the date of the mail that it went, May 18th. Yeah, now this is just the image. I don't know whether the image is skewed up on your screen, but here I'm just showing you an old postcard of the Universal Postal Union now, that from 1897 that went to Buenos Aires in Argentina, and you will see that here you will see as this also is a dealer in postage stamps in Argentina at that time. So it's quite, I don't have the destination mark on this cover, but as you will see, it went to the C post office, and the sorters were from the group A, as seen on the bottom left screen. Here are a combination, just some postcards showing you for the C post office, and I just put this as an exhibit here to show you that the bottom left postcard was written by someone who was on the ship, and he was, from the little words that I can understand on that German letter shown on the bottom, he's writing this postcard on a ship, and he seems he's traveling to Karachi and Bombay, and he put the postcard in a mail in the Bombay, because it's got the Bombay markings on them, and the middle postcard is an English written letter by a person who signed himself as Muhammad, Arabic speaking individual, writing such fluent English because he was communicating with somebody about a commission, about being paid as his commission for some goods. So it's quite an interesting postcard because the middle postcard is addressed to a Bata and Company in Bombay, and it was sent from the Sadar Bazaar in Delhi. So quite interesting cover from that time. Yeah, and that's it for my presentation. I just wanted to keep it brief because I didn't know how long I could go, except for and just share some of my views. Yeah, thanks for your attention.